Welcome back. All right, so news video for all you fine people on the internet. It's between the second and third period between St. Louis and Edmonton. Very highly entertaining game that's going on there. But I'm wearing a Dallas jersey, and we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to start towards the bottom of the board because this is why you're going to be here. A lot of you, anyways. The Calgary Flames have traded Chris Tanev. They've traded Chris Tanev to the Dallas Stars. I did a little happy dance because Chris Tanev's off to Dallas. In exchange, Calgary gets back a 2024 second-round pick, a conditional third-round pick in 2026. The condition is Dallas has to reach the Stanley Cup final this year, or they don't get the 2024 or 2026 third-round pick at all. So that pick comes off the board if they don't reach the Stanley Cup final. Also, Artem Grushnikov, a 20-year-old defenseman, goes to the Calgary Flames. He's had 44 games in Texas, a goal and 4 assists for 5 points for him. Now, Calgary retained half, and then they laundered it. So there's a broker involved in this, the New Jersey Devils, who come out of this with a 2026 fourth-round pick, and they retain 50% of the 50%. So by my count, that'd be 25% of the contract retained by New Jersey in this deal. And Chris Tanev is a member of the Dallas Stars. Dallas does have the cap space for that. And they've got some cap space for other moves. Stankoven's been sent back down to the AHL. We'll see if that remains the case. Also, the Dallas Stars taking from the New Jersey Devils off of their reserve list, Cole Brady, a 23-year-old goaltender playing for UMass. So, we'll see if he ends up getting signed by the Dallas Stars or what happens there. Or it's just, New Jersey has this guy reserve list and Dallas just picks him up. But this is a huge move for Dallas. Firms up their top four. I keep seeing comments about, good luck with Tanev staying healthy. Tanev's been pretty healthy since he left Vancouver. I don't know what to say. In Calgary, he's played well. He's still blocking shots, and he hasn't really had much trouble staying healthy. So I think this is a really good deal. I've already seen the Leafs could have offered more, but I guess Calgary didn't really want to deal with the Leafs. I don't know how to put that other than that. So, that trade has taken place. Also, I'll stay at the bottom of the board for this. Frank Saravalli is reporting that Elias Pettersson and the Vancouver Canucks are closing in on an 8-year extension. So, like my video said the other day, sign or trade. It looks like sign is going to be the move, and I'm excited about this. I really am. I think Pettersson staying in Vancouver is the right call. I'm glad he's had a change of heart, apparently, and he's going to sign this long-term extension, which again means that the Canucks can, before the trade deadlines even come through, know what their budget is for next season and start making moves at the deadline with that in mind. So, really good forward thinking by the Canucks. I completely agree with the mentality here, which seems to be if you want to be a Canuck, we'll take care of you. If you don't want to be a Canuck, there's the door. It's a strategy the Boston Bruins have employed for decades. The Vancouver Canucks have never really quite been like that. I think this is a good culture shift for the Vancouver Canucks. So those are the two items at the bottom of the board. Let's go back to the top. Nashville. So Barry Trotz, in discussions with a reporter for The Athletic, UC Saros is highly unlikely to be traded. I mean, considering Nashville's position right now in the standings, you'd be crazy to trade Saros. Absolutely crazy unless you're getting a goaltender back. But why get a goal? Why do that? Why would you even think of it? So Saros is going to be sticking around. Alexander Carrier, whose name's been out there, Barry Trotz saying they want to have contract talks. They don't want to just trade the player, but they want to have contract talks, meaning it's probably going to be either he signs or he's traded, which again could very well be what we see over the next week and a half, where some players who are pending UFAs sign to stay where they are, or they get traded. Teams don't want to lose players for nothing in this environment. So the one player that it seems like is certain to be moved by Nashville is Tyson Barrie. Barry's name's been out there all season. We know Barrie hasn't been happy about being a healthy scratch. He's been different about it lately, but I think part of it may very well be that that helps to facilitate a trade if he's not, complaining too much about ice time and all that. And so hopefully Barry's getting traded over the next couple of days. It may very well be that the Tanev trade breaks that dam. They've been waiting forever to see that's going to happen with Calgary, and maybe with Tanev being moved, other defensemen now start getting moved as well. So this may very well be the start of the craziness of the trade deadline. Jake DeBrusk is concerned. He's got an expiring contract. He hasn't had contract talks with the Bruins, which has him worried that they may look to move him. It'd be odd if they moved him, considering that part of the reason, the rumor was at the time that Bruce Cassidy was let go was because of, DeBrusk not being happy and wanting to get traded. And of course, DeBrusk rescinded his trade request as soon as Bruce Cassidy was gone. So we'll see if Jake DeBrusk sticks around with the Boston Bruins. At this point, again, it looks like it's 50-50 because they haven't had the contract negotiations with him. It does sound like he wants to have those negotiations as well. And personally, I do trust the Bruins to make the right move where he's concerned when we get there. The Minnesota Wild have come out and agreed with Marc-Andre Fleury. They don't want to trade him either. So it sounds like he wants to stay. They want to keep him. Perfect. Worst case scenario would have been Fleury coming out and saying, I'd like to stay in Minnesota, and the Wild saying, about that. So that's not happened. And so I'm glad to see that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to stay with Minnesota. I still think they have a pretty good chance of catching that last playoff spot, although Calgary's right there and Nashville doesn't look like they want to give it up. St. Louis is putting up a fight tonight too, so we'll see how it all shakes down, but it should be an exciting final 23, 24, 25, however many games are remaining for these teams. Those games that are remaining, it should be a lot of fun. I know I didn't do the Western video today. Kind of dragging my feet a little bit. I'll do the Western video tomorrow. Many apologies to all you people on the internet. So the PWHL has got people talking as well. So let's have a discussion with the PWHL. And I love the number one draft pick idea. I think this is great. So the top 4 teams make the playoffs. It's a 6-team league, of course. And the first place team will get to select their opponent, either team 3 or team 4. And this is SPHL rules. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. The Southern Pro League does this, where the team that finishes first gets to choose their opponent. I've seen people saying, I wish the NHL would do this. I can't see the NHL doing it. Not because I don't think the NHL would want to, but because advertisers like to know well in advance who's going to play against who for advertising reasons, and they really like the rivalry series. Now, in the event that a first place team could pick their opponent, you may very well get that rivalry series. But at this stage, we haven't seen the NHL going that way. One thing the PWHL has going for it is, it's their first year. There's no precedent. So the whole power kill thing they're doing, where if a penalty kill goal goes in, then the power play's done. All of these things they're doing, they don't have to worry about blowback from the public like the NHL would if the NHL brought something in like that. So they've got this blank canvas. And what they've done with the number one draft pick, and again, I really like this idea, is that the number one draft pick goes to the eliminated team who accrues the most points after they're eliminated. So after they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, at that stage, the counter starts. And whichever team gets the most points after they're mathematically eliminated will be the one that gets the number one draft pick. I think that is a fantastic idea. I can't see the NHL getting rid of the draft lottery, but there may very well be somebody at the NHL head office that looks at that and goes, why didn't we think of that? So we'll see if the NHL takes the lead from the PWHL on anything. I think the draft lottery, the spectacle of it and all the good discussion of it, I don't think the NHL would want to let that go. But it would be interesting to see. Like, obviously, San Jose would be the one, or Chicago would be the one that gets eliminated first. But they're also not going to accrue a lot of points. So teams that get eliminated later may very well get more points. Now, of course, in the PWHL, there's only 2 teams that are going to miss the playoffs. But it'll be interesting to see how that all turns out, right? So for the San Jose Sharks from last night, Blackwood got hurt during the game. He has been placed on injured reserve by the Sharks. They've recalled Magnus Krona. We'll see if that affects the San Jose Sharks going into the deadline, because there was some discussion about whether or not either Kakinen or Blackwood would be moved at the deadline, especially with so many teams needing goaltending. Makes some sense to put one or the other out there. With Blackwood injured, that may change that plan. So we'll see. Speaking of goaltenders, Cal Pettersson waived by the Philadelphia Flyers after the performance he had in his last game. I don't think there's any danger he gets claimed. Also, there's that contract. He's very, very, very well paid. And yeah, sadly for Pettersson, I was really hoping things would turn around in Philly. At times, it's looked like maybe it will, but yeah, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So does Philly go up and get a goalie at the deadline? Do they become one of those teams looking at getting a goalie at the deadline? They've been very clear that they have a plan. They have not veered away from that plan, but it does not mean that they're not going to try to stay in a playoff spot. The expectation seems to be that they're going to sell, but I would say that selling makes some sense with expiring contracts. for players you don't plan to keep next year. But I don't think you have to weaken your roster at the same time. I think you can bring other players in. So we'll see what the Flyers do. And again, I expect Pettersson to clear waivers. I can't see anybody picking him up. In terms of Ottawa news, I had expected something with Josh Norris and Thomas Chabot. I haven't seen anything yet. Both of them got hurt during last night's game. Norris has had extensive problems with his shoulder, and it looked like it was his shoulder that got hurt. So that's terrible. Like if he's re-aggravated an old injury, he could be out for at least the rest of this season, and then who knows how much longer beyond that. For Chabot, he's had injury problems this year as well, so hopefully they're not out for that long. But again, I haven't seen an update yet. I was waiting for it. In fact, I had this board all set up like 2 hours ago, and I thought, well, there's games on. I'll just see if anything else happens. Stuff is happening. But yeah, so Norris and Chabot being out for any period of time will hurt Ottawa. Of course, they're not in the hunt for a playoff spot anyways, but we'll see how long they're out for. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did Dallas give up enough for Tanev, or do you think the Flames should have got more? One thing I will say for the Stars, they stuck to their guns. One thing that was out there was they refused to give up a first-round pick in this deal. They said no. That a first-round pick for Tanev, they weren't doing it. He's on an expiring contract, of course. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas keep him. He's a very good defenseman. He's very good at what he does. And if he becomes a free agent, my fingers are kind of crossed that either he would sign back in Vancouver and return, or sign in Boston and then complete that triple crown for me. But anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yeah, I'm kind of happy about Dallas's move here. I think this was fantastic. And if you're a Dallas fan that's like, well, what is Tanev's game? He blocks everything all the time. Sometimes he uses his face. So when you see him and you go, how many teeth is he missing? Yeah, his face stops a lot of pucks, and he's fearless out there. And it is a joy to watch him year in and year out. And this year in the playoffs, I'll get to watch him with Dallas. I'm sure it'll take a little while for me to adjust, but I'm willing to do so. All right, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so thus far. But thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.